subtle start. I'd like to call I think this is our very first meeting as a commission. So I'd like to call this meeting March 6th of the Public Arts Commission to order. And to get started, we're going to have Shannon read the Nisenan Tribe recognition.
Indeed. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Thank you very much. And Mira, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Stan?
Is that on here?
The pledge?
I can read it.
No, just the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you like me to have something else to do?
Yeah, I'm just
for this
curious.
time?
Yeah, maybe, thank you.
Celine, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah, like, let's just do it
Yeah.
together.
Okay. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry for throwing.
Oh, no worries.
You turn your video off.
I guess there's a way to scroll this up and down. Next, I would like to ask our Deputy City Clerk, Donna, would you please do a roll call vote?
Yes. Commissioner Harney,
Present.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Here.
Commissioner Clark,
Here.
Commissioner Tudor, Vice Chair Negrete,
Here.
Chair Wilcox Burns.
Here. Thank you very much. And are we prepared yet for the presentation?
So it would be from
Elias?
Commissioner Tudor and one of her staff members, so I'm sure when they come, we could jump back to that if you want to move
Okay.
into the next agenda item.
Then we'll move on to the next agenda item until the presentation's ready. At this point, we're open for public comment. Government Code Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the commission on any matter that is not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the commission or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The commission cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on each agenda item at the time it is heard. Speakers must adhere to the meeting procedures identified above. Do we have anyone in the public that would like to speak at this time?
Doing great.
Thank you. Donna, is there anyone trying to speak?
I
On
don't,
Zoom?
you won't be on.
We don't
We're not
have, no
Zooming.
public comment on Zoom, yeah.
Okay, then I don't need to bother with that.
Exactly.
Seeing nobody's hand up out there, we'll move on to the consent agenda. And all items that are listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. Before we take action on the consent agenda, we will hear any public comment on consent calendar items, only including any requests to pull consent items. Do we have anyone in the public that would like to comment on a consent item? Seeing no hands raised, I'm looking for a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
And I second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Vice Chair Negrete and a second from Commissioner Clark. I'm still learning names, I apologize. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Commissioner Harney,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Vice Chair Negrete,
Yes.
Chair Wilcox Burns.
Aye.
Motion approved.
All right. Going to our first item of new business. We, at this time, have the privilege of kind of conducting a mock review of a demonstration for a public art project proposal. And this is a kind of a little training session for us to learn how the procedures go. And so I would like to ask staff, our city manager and our city planner.
Perfect,
Take it away.
thank you, Madam Chair. Lisa and I will tag team this. As you said, we're trying to provide you with an opportunity to see what an application might look like. Obviously, this isn't a real one, it's not complete, but we want to show you how it might generally flow. There's a variety of ways that an application for public art could come to you. It could come to you from the city council requesting that you review something that is under their purview. It could come to you from staff if it's something that we're working on. But the one that is an obligation of you under the public arts ordinance would be for public art as part of a development or a site plan or added to an existing building or things like that. And so that's the one that has the most amount of steps. So that's the one that we're giving an example of this evening. We do anticipate, this is a mural project. We do anticipate that you'll see a mural project, hopefully next month, but it might be a little bit after that. So the process would be that the municipal code outlines all the steps that the applicant would have to take. And basically they would contact Lisa and say, hey, I think I want to do a public art project. And then they would have an informal meeting. And then eventually they'd fill out an application. And then there'd be a formal review by staff, in this case Lisa, of that application, make sure everything's in there, it's materially complete, there's no, nothing where we would say we can't move forward without this additional information. And then once that was done, she would schedule it for this body and for a subsequent planning commission meeting, because it's the two-step process of this body and then the planning commission. And so what we have here is an outline of all of the things that would be required of them, of the applicants to submit. Not all of it's directly related to you, and you may not see all of it on an actual application, but we're just showing it to you so that you can see how it goes. So Lisa does this for a living, at the Planning Commission with projects. But I put this together. Truth be told, the picture is not in Nevada City, but it is in a Mother Lode town in Sutter Creek. And the art project is AI generated. It is the computer's take on a neorealism of downtown Nevada City circa the turn of the century. So that's what it came up with. Yeah, it's much better than I would have done. But I was intentionally doing something that would not be, something in front of you because the downtown doesn't have murals or permanent art. So Lisa, you want to kind of share how you would normally present a project?
So typically, the chair would hand it to me. I would present the application and the relevant information for the commission. And then I would invite the applicant up to join us. I would expect it to be an artist and, property owner, business owner. And after I presented, I would allow the applicant to sort of clarify anything I may have missed or add to what I said. And then I would hand it back to the chair, and the chair would then ask the commission of any clarifying questions. So after presentation of the application, the chair should ask questions and try to focus on actual, like, clarifying things that might be needed, rather than moving straight into a discussion. And then after question, every commissioner should have a chance to ask anything. If you don't have any questions, you could just say, no questions. And then we would invite public comment to comment on the item. Once public comment, and that would be the chair moving into public comment. Once public comment is complete, then we move into a discussion. Depending on the piece and the proposal, I would expect that there's sort of some vagueness sometimes with what's presented. So, you know, there's going to be some challenges that come before you that we can't really expect or know how it's going to sort of roll out. It should be interesting. But part of the application process is, you know, artist qualifications, pieces of their work. I think there's something about a theme. There's definitely things about the type of art, the size, the design, how it would look on the building or within the context of buildings around it. And so then the commission would have a discussion, and hopefully, after discussion was completed, we would have some consensus among the commission on how to move forward for the applicant. So that could turn out one of three ways. That could be we request more from you as the applicant to better understand your proposal. We love your project, or we think it's great and we want to help you move this forward, and that would be your recommendation to the Planning Commission. Or we're not sure that this is suitable, and we are going to send you on your way. So sort of three options. The discussion should sort of lead to that result with a motion and a vote. Motions can be made, and then a commissioner, once a motion's made, then Donna would call for a motion, a second. If we have a motion and a second, then Donna would call for a roll call. Motions can be amended. So if there's a motion but no second, you can keep discussing and amend the motion, or say, I'm not sure that that sounds quite right. So how about this? I'll make a motion for this. Not sure if that's making sense, but that's.
And we can help you through any of that if you get to there,
Right.
you know? So not a problem with any of that. And just for clarity, anything that you do on this would be a recommendation back to the next body. So if it might be a recommendation to the council or to the Planning Commission. If it's a public art application, be to the Planning Commission. And those are the three things, like Lisa said, you might say, hey, we need additional information before we could make a recommendation on this. Or we love this, we're going to recommend that the Planning Commission or the council approve this. Or we don't think it's right for Nevada City, we're going to recommend that the Planning Commission or the council deny this application. All of those are recommendations. So you're not actually the one saying no.
Or yes.
Or yes, yep. And that's purposeful because there's other pieces to the puzzle. But this, you're the only body that reviews the art,
Okay.
the content, right? So that's why your role is so important. So the Planning Commission reviews where it is on the building, or its relation to the architecture, or its size and dimension and materials, but not the actual art itself. So there's going to be a lot of potential nuance to your discussion, but also because it's art and it's, there's a variety of art and what people think is good and what's bad. You're not saying no to their art, but you may say we're recommending that it not be approved when it gets further down the road. So that's the kind of the balancing act of.
So can I ask a point of clarification on
Of course.
what you just, so we're looking at the art, but we would also be looking at, when we're looking at this application, this mock one right now, we would be looking at the neighborhood and the context in the neighborhood and those kind of things to see if the art fits that.
That wouldn't be part of, you certainly will have the entire application, and you could, talk about that with the applicants,
Anywhere some-
but it wouldn't be part of your review, that'd be part of the planning commission's review, or the council's review. So you're reviewing the art component.
Okay.
So we can run through the application that's on here, and that way you can see kind of how it would flow and then what your decision-making is under the ordinance. So, for example, this one explains where it physically is, says that there's a vicinity map attached. Obviously, there's not really here, but it's saying, hey, this is a mural piece that's on a 56 by 22 foot wall. The proposed mural is 10 feet by 8 feet. You'll have all of that information, the materials, things like that. There's a picture of the building. There's a picture of the proposed mural. Although anytime you're dealing with art, unless it's already been created, right? That happens sometimes. Somebody says, I want to buy this statue and install it. Other than that, it will not be exactly what, so they're giving you
But
a
it should be
sketch or a
somewhat
concept
close to
or.
what they're,
Right, and so that's where you might not have enough information. You say, we need some clarifying, you gave us a sketch of a circle, so that might not be enough. And so that's where in number 3, it says material samples, color boards, photo simulations. That's straight out of the ordinance of the things that they might provide to demonstrate what it is. Obviously, if they give you a graphical representation of the statue or the mural, then that, would be enough. But if they say, hey, we think we want to, do a mosaic of tiles, they might say these tiles, a picture of these tiles broken and then assembled in color, things like that. As like Lisa said, you'll have the proposed artist qualifications. We're generally going to just have a summary there. This is an experienced muralist that has worked in Nevada County on other projects. Their CV is attached. Or this is someone that has never done a mural, never picked up a paintbrush, but the property owner thinks that they want them to paint the side of their building. The written agreement about Federal Visual Arts Artists' Rights Act, you don't have to do anything with that, but that is a requirement of the application, so we'll note that that's in there. So same with the appraisal, that's relating to, the ordinance has to do with if you build a new commercial building, you have to do a certain amount of public art or provide certain value. So nothing that you'll evaluate, but it's in there and you'll see it in the application. Written permission from the property owner, because sometimes the applicant will not be the property owner. The applicant might be the artist, the applicant might be a contractor who's doing the work on behalf of the property owner. Again, not your responsibility, but you'll see it in there, kind of, this is the step-by-step flow. Maintenance plan, there has to be a maintenance plan for the art, and this is something where it's probably worth your while to look at that, because every piece of art is going to have a different kind of maintenance need, and you are going to have a better understanding of what the maintenance need might potentially be for an art piece than the planning commission might. And so, if it's a physical art piece, maybe not that big a deal, but if it's a mural art and you're familiar with mural art, or people that are, and how long does it take to degrade, and you say, hey, they're going to touch it up once every 27 years, that's not going to work. It's not strictly the art in that case, but it's worth looking at that part. The fees, that's because there's required fees. A proposed lighting plan for the public art. Again, that's the planning commission's purview as far as the lighting goes, but how it's lit definitely affects, what kind of art it is, right? Maybe they don't want it to be lit at all. They just want it to be not visible at night. That's okay. But if you think their lighting plan will make it look very different at night, then that'd be certainly something that you might want to comment on. And then there's always the catch-all. Such other information as the planner may reasonably require to review the application. That's Lisa gets an application and she says, I need something else to understand this piece. And if that happens, It'd be an incomplete application. She'd ask for it, they'd give it back, and then we'd put it in the packet, and we'd identify it under that category. So we'd have a statement in here, like it says, staff has reviewed the completed application for public art to verify compliance. Staff finds application complete and the proposal material compliant with the ordinance. That doesn't mean it should be approved. Just means they've done everything they need to do to get to this body. And then everything that she talked about would come forward, and you serve as the art review authority. And so your determination is to make a finding whether or not, in this case, a mural, is in, quote, compliance with the definition of public art. So that is the role. And so the definition of public art is provided for in the ordinance, and we'll put it in every staff report that comes in front of you. So public art means an original work, and it's got all of this language. But then it also says public art does not include the following: art objects that are mass-produced of standard design, such as playground equipment, benches, statutory objects, or fountains. And then there's other, decorative elements, landscape architecture. There's a whole bunch of exceptions to this. So you would be basically saying it does meet the definition, it doesn't meet any of the exceptions. That would be your finding. Now, you can also, you're not required to. So you have to make a finding in that. Either it is art, doesn't meet any of the exceptions, it's not art, or it does meet the exceptions, and that's the reason why we're recommending denial. Or we need more information, of course. You can do these additional findings if you would like, and recommendations, and those should come from our public art policy. And this is pretty broad, right? And so our public art policy says that public art should include one or more of the following characteristics: represent the diverse social, cultural, and historical values of the city, contribute to quality of life and economic vitality, be thought-provoking, memorable, and enduring, provide opportunities for education and learning, encourage civic pride, add value to the community, and represent the city as determined by the council, utilize local artisans or its local network of nonprofits affiliated with or involved in the arts, utilize connections with local schools and colleges when launching planned public art to encourage the diverse local youth population and generate interest. So that's where, Kathy, to your point, you say, it's surrounding, right? You're not actually measuring its surrounding, that's the planning commission's job. However, in here, in these items, you could be evaluating other things, like this piece of art is not appropriate for, the context that it's in. It doesn't represent diverse social, cultural, historical values, or it's, it's not a local artisan, right? That, again, you're not denying, but you might say, we find it to be public art, but it ticks all these other boxes that are in the public art policy. It's not a local artist, it doesn't use, any youth, doesn't provide opportunities for education, it's not thought-provoking, memorable, or enduring, and based on those things, we'd recommend the planning commission not approve this art piece. So those are optional findings. My guess is most of the stuff that's gonna come to you in the near future is gonna be pretty obviously art and pretty, I shouldn't say neutral, but not crazy, not on the edge of, ooh, should we approve this or not? Someday you'll get ones like that, but probably not the early adopters, probably won't be that. But that's where that piece will come in, if you want. And so at the end, when Lisa's done with her presentation, we'll give you what staff's recommendation is, and it'll be in the report. And so when you're done with your deliberation, you would be going back to those things. So in this case, it says a motion be made in relation to the project. Staff recommended motion is that the proposed mural is in compliance with the definition of public art from the section of the municipal code and does not meet any of the A through G exclusions. And then you could also have on your own initiative a motion to have other findings related to the art. So that's what we'd ask you to do after the end of your deliberations. So that's kind of the process in a nutshell. That's how you'll see things kind of march out in your staff report. And it's a lot easier than it seems, because really you just, the kind of the devil's in the details, but basically, you're gonna read the staff report. And if you already have questions when you read the staff report, like things you don't understand, those are the clarifying questions you're gonna ask after staff makes their presentations. If you come across questions that, or you're like, this says it's in Colfax, and, you know, and in Colfax's historical district, and they don't allow art in the historical district, those might be things that might be incompatible with something. That's why we do that staff review and all of those things. But if you have questions as you read through, you'll get a good feel of what you might need to know or might not need to know. But we only can go by what they submit. If they submit enough to get to you, it's possible that they get to you and you're like, okay, that's enough. They hit items 1 through 11, and I have no idea what they actually want. So that's where you might end up with we need more information kind of discussion. So I will stop there because I talk a
Yeah.
lot.
It's, at this point, Lisa's going to do a presentation, and then we have questions as the commission, we would ask them of her, and then we go to public comment. And
Exactly.
then we actually start discussing the project.
Yep. So you could do public comment now, see if there's any on this topic.
No, I mean, we're trying to go through
Yes, exactly.
I'll
an
just
actual.
refresh. It's a mural on the side of a building that's over there. And the artist is so-and-so. And they did not present a style associated with the art piece. It's for a mural. Would you like to add anything? No. Public comment? Any public comment? Kathy would ask that. Okay. Any commission questions?
Yeah,
That should have come first. My apologies.
do any of the commissioners have any questions about this project before we ask for public comment to clarify anything?
I have a clarifying comment about the process.
Okay.
So if you get an application and it meets 1 through 11, even if you know it would never go down, does it still come to this body? So it's not like you're the first gate. We are the first gate once like the minimum criteria has been met.
Unless it's otherwise prohibited.
Okay,
So if there's something in the municipal code that says this cannot happen,
okay,
then otherwise it comes to you, even, because there could be times when you surprise us. So
Something
it-
inappropriate
Yeah.
or,
But not our place
so
to
you're not like
say-
implicitly recommending it just by virtue of it being here? That's not the case?
Correct.
exactly.
Okay, cool,
We're saying it meets, it's compliant with the submission requirements of the ordinance.
got it.
So,
Okay.
and you may see us recommend that you find it meets the definition, doesn't meet any of the exceptions, and recommend its approval to the planning commission. You may see us recommend that you don't find it consistent with the public art definition, and we'll tell you why. Because what they've proposed is something that you can buy at Target, which meets one of the exceptions. Or you might find us not take a position, which would be the most common, which is just, here you go, we recommend that you take a position one way or the other.
Sean, I do have a question about that. When things go to the planning commission, so they are not making any decision about the art itself, but they are still seeing the full application that shows the artwork, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think you spoke to this a little, but does everything it meets all the requirements, does everything go to planning commission next, or just things that are within the city? I just want to understand that part a little bit more.
So if it's subject to the public art ordinance, if an unnamed theater in town wants to put a mural on the end of their building, that is subject to our zoning ordinance
Okay.
and those regulations, which is where this would come in. And so that application would come through this process, and then from you to the planning commission. And the planning commission decides ultimately based on your recommendation and their piece of the puzzle. It is possible for example, on public property,
Right.
the planning commission has no actual
Okay.
role in it, so it could come from the council to you, asking you to review it, and go back to the council. It's unlikely that would happen if it involved the building, because the council's gonna want the planning commission's input on that. But I could see places, for example, if it was a public art installation inside this building, you know, the RL Crab item out there, next time it's some other artist, and the council says, hey, we'd like to have this artist here, but can you vet them for us? Can you go through the application? You make a recommendation back to them, they say, yes, great, do a 3-month installation at City Hall. That might not go to the planning commission.
So if it was, someone came in and was proposing to do a mural, I'm just throwing this up, you
Absolutely.
know, but on the old Corporation Yard on Zion Street, it's public art on a public building, so that would go to the city council, come to here, and then go to the city council, not the planning commission.
That, it could do that. I find it unlikely that the council would do that without routing it to the planning commission. They could do it all on their own if they wanted to, but my guess is that they would say, can you review this as if it was any other building in town?
But our role is, it comes to us, we're making a determination, and then you make sure it's passed on to the right, whether the city
Yes.
council or the planning commission.
And at the bottom of the staff report, all the staff reports, it will say referred to, referred by. In this case, this says this item is referred from staff upon the submitted application. It will be referred to the planning commission as the design review authority after the recommendations or findings of the public art commission. So the staff report at the end will tell you where it came from and where it's going next.
Okay. Any other items of clarification before we open the public comment? At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone from the public that would like to make a comment on this item?
Come on, public.
Should we pretend?
Mock public
Yeah,
comment.
ask a hard question.
Dreams do come true.
Do your best
You
job.
can try a new microphone if you like.
I'm Adam. I'm on Long Street. I have a real problem with AI art being used publicly. That's all I got.
Thank
I'm
you.
surprised it took that long to get there.
Thank you very much, Adam, for your comment. Are there any other comments from the public? Comment walking in the door now? Okay. We're not doing home comments apparently tonight, so.
There is no virtual comments,
So,
in person
at that,
or written.
Seeing no other comments, no one else standing up to make a comment, we'll return it to the table. And do any of the commissioners have anything? Should I just go around the table, or whoever would like to speak first on this project?
And that could happen. Everyone just like,
No one has any?
don't think anything.
I had a whole bunch of notes on it. Maybe they've been
So
answered.
I completely missed that within the, so this is an AI-generated piece of art, is it?
This is I made up the whole thing, including the art.
But it didn't state it in here that it was AI-generated. That was Adam just stirring things up, right?
Yes, because I said it
Yeah.
earlier.
Oh, got it.
Because
Okay, I missed
Jane
that.
Doe or whoever I said is the artist is not a real person, so.
Oh, well, that was brilliant anyway, because that could be a thing. couldn't
Right.
it? So would that imply that we need to have a policy around AI-generated art?
No, because people are going to use art in, some fashion that they want. But it comes back to what is, your role is to say if it meets the definition of art in the ordinance and it doesn't meet any exceptions, you would make that finding. But you could, like we said earlier, maybe before you walked in, you could make the finding that it meets the definition of art. It doesn't meet any exceptions, but it doesn't involve local artisans, which is one of the items from the public art policy. It doesn't involve youth. It doesn't have any educational things. It's not ... And on that basis, you would recommend that the planning commission not approve it.
And would AI art generated be something you could buy, not at your local Target, but certainly online somewhere, so it wouldn't fall under the ordinance?
I think it's complicated. I think it's complicated.
Okay.
Yeah. If it was an NFT, probably would be a different story, but AI-generated art is, professional quality AI-generated art is going to be unique.
Okay. Well, any other comments?
So hopefully our first one's not that.
Are we never allowed to talk to the applicant again? Like, if we like miss talking to them in the first questions, if other questions come up, can we circle back and be like, tell me again what you said that river means?
They're gonna be here the
Whole
whole time.
time.
Okay, and they can talk more? Great.
So I was looking at this as, like, as if it was a real application before us
Perfect.
tonight, and with some questions, and some of them have been answered already by you as you gave your introduction. Because I was looking at it in context to, we didn't get all of the stuff, but a site plan showing where it would be located and all that, we would be getting that, just to be able to determine, does this particular piece of art that's being presented fit in context with the neighborhood, and, depending what, maybe it's going to go next to the elementary school, and we don't think it's appropriate for that situation, maybe it would work somewhere else. So if that's why we would get the site plan and be reviewing all that, as, we're only looking at the art, but we need to be looking at
You'll have the entire
a
application.
little wider.
Yeah.
Okay, and then some of these probably we don't look at, but they came up to my mind at reading through this, like when you get written permission from the property owner for the location of the public art, then who shoulders the liability while it's, if the city's approving the public art? If the property owner, we don't care about that, you'd care about that.
What do you mean, what liability?
Falls off.
Like
ladder.
somebody falls off a ladder.
This is the same as
somebody-
any other development on public property. It's not on the city, it's on the applicant and the developer.
Okay, something comes flying off and hits someone walking down the
Yep.
sidewalk.
Just like anything else that goes to the planning commission or the building
Okay.
department or anything else.
All right, I just,
Yeah.
kind of had all these questions, some of them don't apply, and.
That's okay.
But some of them would, because I would be interested in, is it on a historic building or is it on a newer building? This one appears to be on a newer, nondescript building.
Happens to be-
In a nondescript business district that could be Argo Way, but it's in Sutter Creek, but it obvious,
It was built 1 year before the single-story buildings on Argo.
So, we're not talking pre-World War II buildings, because that would have something to do, at least with my reviewing, what we're looking at and what's appropriate, what building that's going on.
So it wouldn't have anything to do with your findings of whether it meets the definition of art, and or the exceptions, but it's, if you wanted to, provide comment on it and, pass that along to the planning commission, that's certainly fine, but it's not something you couldn't, it wouldn't be appropriate to say it doesn't meet the definition of art because we don't think that kind of art should be on that kind of building.
Right.
So
No, it would meet
that's the.
The definition of art, but whether we find all these other things. So, okay, those were my questions. Anybody else have any for this
Good job,
mock
Kathy.
demonstration? Then I would look for, I would like to have a motion and a second to refer this to the planning commission. Is that
So if you said that, what we would likely do, or what Lisa would do, is she'd say that the recommended motion is, in your staff report, is that the proposed mural is in compliance with the definition of public art from 17-118-020 of the Nevada City Municipal Code and does not meet any of the A through G exclusions.
Okay.
And then if somebody said, so moved, second, then you do a roll call. Obviously, it doesn't meet those requirements because it's not even in the city, but
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're ready to move on to our next agenda item. Is that what, are we
sure.
doing anything
Yep,
more?
this doesn't require action. It was just a, so when you're actually doing it, it's not the first time you've, seen how it might work a little bit.
Okay.
And our guests are back, so.
That's what I was
if
just going to
the chair
say.
would like to go back. to
We,
the
our
beginning.
presentation, our presenters for the presentation are ready now, and I'd like to circle back around to, I believe we have Eliza Tudor and Heather Heckler for a presentation.
Well, thank you so much, Madam Chair. And may I apologise for being quite an idiot this evening. All right.
Welcome.
And how can I share the presentation?
Do you have it on thumb drive?
Yes, no, we do have a HDMI thing there. I have the whole cord and everything.
Can you email it to us?
Yep. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Would you like me to do it, or do you want to look through her? Is it a PowerPoint?
No, it's a PDF.
Okay.
Share it to me? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to,
Is your email on that?
Sean,
is
already,
your email already up, Donna?
No, it's not.
while they're doing that, could you come and
Yep.
get the whole thing on here?
Okay.
There you go.
I will send it to Donna. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, that's all I have there.
Yep.
And if I go to there, it's last month's.
Oh, because I pulled up the wrong one for you.
I feel like the community context piece is interesting because it's like we're not really talking about where. So like the scope of our work is,
Still clicked on the wrong one.
like if a private property owner is like, I'm partnering with this artist and I want to hear.
Totally crazy.
And then
No.
I'd be like, it doesn't make sense.
So I was looking at my paper.
Explaining
Okay,
flower
thank
across
you.
the street from the elementary school, but is that our role, or are we saying it's art and provide value and like, I guess we'll have to see. But I can see getting like derailed on the like, where we don't really have jurisdiction. Where is the first? I can't find it.
Are you sure you sent it to me, not a different Sean?
You don't have it either? I don't think it's there. I think it's just receive a presentation from the County Arts Council, right?
That was a look.
Donna,
Yeah, just awkward.
DONNA dot Wilkins, WILKINS.
So it starts, never mind, that's what it is. Wait, no,
At Nevada City,
that was the
CA
first one, that was number one.
dot gov.
Okay.
I thought normally, and then they're clickable, but,
I don't know, so is she doing this one then?
no, she's doing, it's the Nevada County Arts Council.
Yes, I've just done that.
Receive the oh, here, this right there, presentation. Then it's just
I got the email, but the attachment is not there.
Pages for it, yeah, so I'm happy to hear that.
That shouldn't matter. Try sending it to Donna. It should work.
Yes, it's now gone to Donna as well. It's just sending it. Thank you for your forbearance.
Sure. Should we take a 2-minute recess or just?
Get a lemon bar or a brownie or coffee or tea in the back of the room.
We're going to take a 2-minute recess while we get the electronics working here.
So moved.
Exactly the same as it was when you were on council, right?
Thank you.
Yes. We owe you.
Oh, where did he go?
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought he was standing in the back of the room.
Kathy, let me know so I can unmute the, and we'll continue on with.
Okay,
once you-
when Sean gets back, I'll
Yeah.
tap it gently.
I was just gonna send her
It's
a
okay.
copy of it. No big deal. No big deal.
Presentation. So as you know, I am Eliza Tudor, Executive Director at Nevada County Arts Council, and I am going to introduce Heather Heckler, Ross Valley Nevada City Cultural District Program Manager.
Thank you. Hi, thanks for having us. Sorry we're late on several accounts and didn't get you anything that you needed. So, off to a great start. So we'll go next slide. So we're just going to give you a very quick overview of Nevada County Arts Council, what we do, and the Cultural District, Grass Valley Nevada City Cultural District, which we're sitting in right now, / standing in. I'm going to turn this over to Eliza for Nevada County Arts
How
Council.
could you?
I know.
How could you?
Right?
Well, many of you may know, or may not know, but there are 58 counties in California. Who knew that? Okay, so there's one of us, there's a county arts agency, a county arts council in every one of the 58 counties in California. And we all report into the state. And in order to report into the state, which is a wonderful honor and comes with untold obligations, we go before our board of supervisors once a year and deliver at least one annual report, a semi-annual report and an annual report. And we seek permission, a resolution, naming us as eligible to be the umbrella agency for the arts in the county. And that happens all over California. So in other words, we're part of a peer network of agencies, and we all talk to each other all the time. We have meetings once a month. We have a peer mentoring program in which we all learn from one another across all manner of subject areas. It could be raising funds better, how to establish an art commission. It could be a community of practice for equity in the arts, which we also have. So we're constantly learning from one another in terms of upping our game in service to our local communities. Our mission is facilitating collaborative efforts that promote and sustain our creative sector in order to advance the cultural, social, and economic lives of all community members. But actually, we're just about to do a little bit of a review of our mission, because our mission is now so deep in service to our community that we feel like this doesn't quite say it. Can you hear? You can, can't you? Good. So we do a number of things as an arts service agency. We do a lot of career development, so pro bono consulting for our artists and our youth, grant writing and education. We do a ton of arts advocacy, and as Sean will know, we've been before City Council on a number of occasions to seek signatures on letters that then go to legislature that promote funding for the arts across California. April is Arts, Culture and Creativity Month, so we do a lot of work. Starting around now, you'll be hearing from us more in terms of providing ways for us all to sort of dig in and support for the arts and be speaking to our local elected officials and our state legislature.
Okay, next slide, please.
All right, there you go.
Okay, some of our key programs at the Arts Council, some of which are funded, some of which we do out of the goodness of our hearts, and all of which are essentially free to the public. So one of our core programs that we're working on now is the Upstate Creative Corps, which is a re-granting program. So bringing in state funds and regranting them to 19 counties in the upper Northern California area counties to artists. And we serve how many artists through that program?
We're employing 454 artists at the moment. 22 languages spoken, mostly indigenous, tribal peoples. Northern California is rich with indigenous peoples. And incredible programs all centered around civic engagement, which of course you know we're in the biggest election year globally ever, so very important. Social justice, environmental issues, and public health. Those are the program goals for that program. It's seriously incredible. It's a great example of how Nevada County Arts Council, as a county arts agency, is positioned to recognize opportunities that will benefit local artists. So although we are serving 19 counties, we've also distributed close to $500,000 to artists and organizations locally within Nevada County, so it's very exciting. And then, of course,
It's also a great model for how government and artists can work together to meet the goals of government and to serve our communities. Very similar to the WPA project from the 1930s, based on that model. California Cultural District, so we'll talk more about that in a moment. We do a lot of arts education, so gaps in arts education. It's not the same as when we were all growing up. We employ 9, I believe, artists who work in schools who serve kind of kids who have no access to arts education. We also do the Poetry Out Loud program, so you may have seen that recently, a competition that we hold each year for teenagers to do poetry, literally out loud, and perform. And then the winner of the local Poetry Out Loud competition goes to the state competition, and the winner of that goes to the national competition. We also do the Sierra Poetry Festival, which is coming up in April, and I'll let Eliza talk a little bit about that.
Sierra Poetry Festival is a weird one for us. Like, why, out of all these sort of resources and tools that we provide free for artists, do we also have this very particular kind of a festival? And that really, the lineage of that is that when I started as executive director in 2016, we literally had no program. We weren't offering any services. And I could see that we had a very rich literary community here. We had, you know, a national treasure, Gary Snyder, living here, and an incredible sort of subculture and counterculture of literary gems who are unseen and who didn't really connect with one another. So we thought, let's create brand new audiences for poetry. The arts education piece, just to say, we serve around just over 2,000 low-income school children across elementary and high schools year-round, weekly, in 4 different school sites and 2 different community settings, Bright Futures for Youth and Mountain Valley now. So that's great. And one of our amazing coaches is sitting right here, Daniela. And then we have art in public spaces.
So this one's kind of near and dear to my heart because I recently worked on this as a county employee. The Art in Public Spaces program is a partnership with Nevada County to provide art exhibits in the Rood Center and other public spaces, hopefully, potentially in the future. And we do that quarterly, and we work closely with arts organizations in the community. So currently we have a 30-year anniversary retrospective of Community Asian Theater of the Sierra. We've done a great exhibition in partnership with Mira Clark, with Chirp, in the Rood Center, and I think that's a beautiful program that's just going to continue to grow.
Perfect example of civic engagement, artists coming into public spaces, i.e. government spaces, and giving voice to public. So drawing government and society together, which is what we're all about, right?
All right, next slide. Okay, so the Cultural District program. So that's my job, you guys. I just started. I'm about a month and a half in. So this was a pilot program which started in 2015 through AB 189. It's administered by the California Arts Council, and the program aims to assist Californians in leveraging the state's considerable assets in the areas of culture, creativity, and diversity. A cultural district is generally understood as a well-defined geographic area with a high concentration of cultural resources and activities. And you can see here a map of the 14 different cultural districts that have been designated. And we have 2 in Nevada County, Grass Valley, Nevada City Cultural District, and the Truckee Cultural District. Next slide, please.
I will just say that one of the unusual things about Grass Valley Nevada City Cultural District is that it's the only Twin City Cultural District, and it's one of only 4 cultural districts that are based in rural spaces within California, so it's pretty remarkable. We intentionally created an incredibly large footprint. I think we're probably one of the largest cultural districts in California. We knew how challenging it was to have our incredible cities and populations work together, and that this would provide an opportunity. And it also encompasses areas like Seven Hills that you wouldn't naturally think of as part of a cultural district, and yet they are. So when we're thinking about projects in the future for Seven Hills, just to use Seven Hills as an example, we'll want to claim that this is an incredible win for our coveted California Cultural District.
Great. So the Cultural District is not just a program of the Arts Council. It's a partnership, essentially, with the City of Nevada City, the City of Grass Valley, the Nevada City Chamber of Commerce, and the Greater Grass Valley Chamber of Commerce with the Arts Council, and we essentially administer the program in partnership with those folks.
With you.
With you. The cultural districts were designated in 2017, and they came with $5,000 in funding. Wow. And with that, I think we did a logo and some outreach and some amazing convenings, and then Eliza did an amazing job of keeping this up and going. And then we were recently redesignated in 2023 for an additional 5 years, but with 3 years of funding. But what that's paying for is my position as a program manager to really bring people together, reinvigorate the cultural district, to do an arts and culture master plan. So we recently just released a request for proposals to find a consultant to help us do that master plan, and you'll be hearing more about that, and we'd love to work with you and engage the community through you, and then to do a big marketing campaign around arts and culture in Nevada County. Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to say that there's an incredible, there's a lot of effort to promote what we do here and promote it responsibly and sustainably, because of course we know that we were in the Chamber of Commerce the other day in Grass Valley and could see that there was a special pamphlet all about the best swimming holes in Nevada County and close to Grass Valley, and we said, you can just take all those off the shelf right now. Anyway, there are some things that we want to promote and other things that perhaps we need to be a little bit more circumspect around, especially in this day and age of, climate mitigation and things like that. So I would say that Arts and Culture Master Plan process is going to be something that you're going to be seeing a lot more of. You're going to be a stakeholder group. We are as an arts commission. When we think about arts planning, we very often stop short at public art. Truckee Cultural District, when it became designated by the state, the first thing it did was to create a public art master plan, and I'm sure Sean knows all about that as well. We chose to go a different route and to measure the economic impact of the arts across the entire county, so both cultural districts together. This time next week on Wednesday at 12:30, right here in City Council chambers, if you show up, and you're all invited, you'll be hearing Randy Cohen, who's the Vice President of Research and Policy at Americans for the Arts in DC, who is paying us a flying visit in order to release the findings of the latest economic impact study. All these things are leverage for support for the arts long term and will be a key foundational component to our Arts and Culture Master Plan.
Next slide, please. So what is a cultural district? I've been getting that question a lot from my friends and family. So it's based on the concept of creative placemaking, and there are a couple of things that go on into it. It's built on cross-sector partnerships. So again, those partners that you saw that are part of our Cultural District, and also bringing together the voices of all kinds of people in our community. It really requires deep community engagement. It's about advancing local change. So like the Upstate Creative Corps, how can art address those issues that we're all facing in our community? And again, addressing community challenges. We have a slightly different definition. If you go to the next slide, we really like to think of it as creative placekeeping. So the definition of that from the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture is active care and maintenance of a place and its social fabric by the people who live and work there. It's not just preserving buildings, but keeping the cultural memories associated with a locale alive, while supporting the ability of local people to maintain their way of life as they choose. So I added one little bullet at the end of this, which is it works against the byproducts of placemaking, such as gentrification, displacement, and racism. So we know that there's a balance between celebrating the arts and promoting the arts widely and making sure artists can actually live and work here in our community.
So when California Arts Council created the definition of what a cultural district is back in 2017, it was all about creative placemaking. And in the 5 years that followed, we've quickly realized what happens when creative placemaking takes over. And so there's a big caveat with creative placemaking, and it was beautifully described by you.
All right, next slide, please. So we really see, as Eliza mentioned earlier, the cultural districts as a county-wide program. So yes, we're promoting, the arts and culture in Grass Valley and Nevada City, but, we have amazing cultural assets and artists working all throughout our community, and we want to make sure everyone's involved. Artists play a vital role in this project, this program. We really want to make sure that we're taking actionable steps for cultural and racial equity as part of our cultural districts, and we're really here to nurture future cultural leaders and artists in the community. Anything you want to say on that?
Wonderful. No, I think that's great.
Next slide, please. So here's kind of why the state designation matters and how we can use that state designation. So first of all, money. It gives us a competitive edge to bring in grant monies and do fundraising. Visibility, it gives us a lot of visibility and acknowledgement of how vibrant our arts and culture scene is here. Gives us a really nice framework for promotion, so you're going to see a marketing plan roll out from us, and it's going to be framed around this amazing designation of the cultural districts. And it's really about creating access and promoting equitable practices in the arts sector.
Perfect.
You want to add to that?
No, because I think probably the commission wants, I know
To
you
move on.
You were so fast. Sean's so mean. I wrote to him this morning and he said, you only have 5 minutes each. So
I said 5-ish.
Okay, so we'll quickly go through this. So some components and things that we've done as part of this program. Cultural asset map, hundreds and hundreds of cultural assets mapped on an interactive map. Oh, next slide, please. Identifying our creative people, organizations, businesses, and resources. It includes historical places and sacred spaces, and we are currently working to update that after the pandemic to make sure it's accurate and up to date. Next slide.
just a word on the asset map, if you wouldn't mind going back to it. The one thing you don't see are those sacred spaces. I'm not sure today if we would call them sacred spaces, but they're spaces that are critically important and often very private, connected with our indigenous peoples. So Shelley and I went through a very interesting process when within the first year and beforehand, actually starting before we became designated, of mapping those spaces. But you won't see them on this map, but they're there, and we'll be updating them and growing them and nurturing that knowledge, but in very intentional ways. Some of those spaces that we mapped, they're not welcoming visitors, obviously, so they need to be preserved. So there are many different ways of mapping, and some things can be public and others can be used towards planning and better care of our peoples and places.
Are you going to just give a couple of examples of the public ones that we might all know?
Yes, absolutely. So a classic one that we actually always take people to when they're visiting, a year ago last October, we invited Senator Ben Allen and Assembly Member Tasha Borna-Horvath, who literally, as a result of her visit, then created a bill which passed to help cities understand how to create affordable housing for artists. But the place where we met, where we started our tour of the Grass Valley Nevada City Cultural District, was Ubaseo. Right outside Ubaseo is what do you call it, one of those beautiful brass plaques within the pavement. I'm trying to remember what it's called, a landmark. Is that what it is?
It says Ustamar.
And it says Ustamar, exactly. We always draw attention to this plaque because so many people don't know that Nevada City is actually really called Ustamar. Part from it, the fact that it's the most exquisitely beautiful word, it always is lodged in the minds of those who visit and then go elsewhere, that they have just visited Ustamar. So we always pause for thought when we pass over that threshold. In fact, I find it hard to walk over it and step on it when I'm going past Ubaseo. So that's an example of a public, very special landmark that's on the map.
All right. We're going to go fast, I promise.
Yes.
Sean. Okay, artist directory. So we have about 230 artists in our artist directory. It's there basically to celebrate our local artists and, for folks to see the wide breadth of talent and potentially support those artists. And anyone can create their own profile on the directory. Thank you so much.
It's constantly evolving as well. So at the moment you just see visual artists, but it also has a whole music section, cinema, photography. We're just about to add mixed media. We haven't quite got round to AI art, and we don't quite know
Today's
whether
the day.
folks are going to own up to it. But also we'll be adding body art quite soon too, right? We know that the culture of tattoo and body art is really interesting and very inspiring within Nevada County. So you will see this evolve over time. Did you put on here by any chance the regional directory?
No.
I will just mention, we also have a regional artist directory, which we literally have just launched so that Nevada County artists can now connect with artists all across Northern California. So 2 different directories, and both of them, of course, are completely free.
All
Is
right.
that 230 in this area?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you guys reach out to artists to put
Yes.
them on?
Yes. We're always hounding artists to put their profile up.
It's a relatively new, it's a new artist directory. It's only about a year old, so it's going to be a constant thing, just letting artists know that it's there, because 200 doesn't touch the surface.
Right.
So
Okay, next slide. So we also have an arts calendar, so it's a really comprehensive resource of our artists for folks planning a visit, for folks living here. It's a calendar that syncs with GoNevadaCounty.com and several other calendars, and artists and organizations can add their own events there. Next slide. We also do artist calls, so this is a screenshot from today. There are several open artist calls right now, so for folks who are trying to connect with artists, this is a great place to go. It's a dedicated web page, and you can contact us and we'll put up that artist call. Next slide, please. We host monthly creative meetups, both on the east and the west side, and this is a really amazing way for folks to get in touch with each other, and it's a place for community, and we also really talk about sharing needs. One of the things we do is we go around and we ask, what is it that's coming up for you? What is a need you have? And always there's something really cool happening in that room. And we just share information there. And the next one is actually tomorrow at Madeline Helling Library. So we hope you can come.
they won't allow us to serve cocktails, but there are some very interesting elixirs being served tomorrow. Not yesterday.
Next slide, please. And then we just do a ton of marketing and promotion of the arts. We have 2 monthly newsletters that we produce, and we manage multiple social media accounts. And we are just about to release a print publication called Muse, which celebrates arts and culture in Nevada County, so keep an eye out for that as well. And next slide. So this is kind of, where are we going? We mentioned the county-wide arts and culture master plan, so we really want to have a inclusive community engagement process. You will be hearing so much more about that. You'll be so tired of us. We really want that to really be the place where we create a shared cultural vision for this community and a roadmap for community action. And then again, a regional marketing campaign that will go along with that.
This, by the way, is the study that I mentioned. This level of planning and level of reporting, if you like, engaging of the creative community, it necessarily needs to happen every 5 years. You don't want to do it too frequently because you need time to pass to sort of gauge the trends of the past in order to inform the future and that sort of thing. So this is the study that we're launching next week on Wednesday. You'll see it. And this is just a printout from a computer, but there will be, it's basically a 60-page document. It's absolutely loaded. It's an economic and social impact study of Nevada County, which is just fresh off the print.
And final slide is just a thank you to all of you for dedicating your time and energy to being part of our creative community, and really looking forward to partnering with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Here's how to get in
Thank you
touch
so
with us.
much. Do we have any questions that anyone would like to ask?
I have a question. So the district was created in 2017. Can you tell us sort of how that rolled out and what it was like, if it was sort of activism inspired with you guys applying for it, and what did that look like?
Sure. I was sitting at home in late 2015 in Pine Street, and I hadn't yet started working full-time with Nevada County Arts Council, and I saw that this strange Assembly Bill 189 had been passed in Southern California in Santa Monica by Richard Bloom, Assembly Member Richard Bloom. And I immediately alerted Nevada County Arts Council, and soon I was already I think I was on the board of directors then. I literally just moved to the area. And so we started meeting with, I remember meeting with Mark Prestwich, who was then the city manager here, Sean's predecessor. And we basically mapped out a plan to engage with both our Nevada City constituents, but then later drawing in Grass Valley, the cities and chambers. So now the Grass Valley Nevada City Cultural District, as Heather pointed out, is a collaboration between municipal government, the business community, and the arts community. So it's interesting. But yes, it involved a lot of workshopping, lots of sort of so-called blue sky thinking and whiteboards and community convenings, both before, when we were applying, but also after. And it involved mapping the history of arts and creativity within the county. I mean, both ends, because we led the applications for both Truckee and Grass Valley, Nevada City. At the time, I was a little anxious in terms of applying so aggressively for 2 cultural districts in one county, because I was, I thought, what happens if they choose one over the other, and then one will be cross with us and things like that. The interesting thing is that at the Visit California, which is the largest marketing mechanism in the United States, it's our State Department for Tourism, was engaged in the application process. So at the point of application, you had to choose your region from where you were applying. And some of us know that Visit California divide up the state in slightly arbitrary, old-fashioned ways. So our Grass Valley Nevada City Cultural District application came from within the Gold Country region, and our application for Truckee Cultural District designation came from High Sierra. We had no problems with High Sierra. It made sense, right? It is the High Sierra. We did have issues with being forced to say that we were representing Gold Country for reasons that we all understand. And we continue to encourage Visit California to perhaps rethink its definition of what this region is.
Any other questions, or?
Yeah, I'm curious about the proposed master plan and what types of content that covers. If you could give some examples of the directions that might inform.
while you speak to that, I'm just gonna open it up so we have those bullet points. I think it might be quite interesting.
Sure. So essentially what we've done is put out an RFP, request for proposals, for a consultant to walk us through the plan. We think it'll be a 6 to 12-month process with a lot of convening of the community. And we're probably going to, start, there will probably need to be an advisory council with folks from all different sectors and all different parts of the community to advise us on how that looks, but essentially gathering all kinds of information from everyone about what is it that we want this community to be, right, in the next 1 year, 3 year, 5 years in terms of arts and culture. This is my job. I'm an advocate for the arts, and I really think that arts and culture is what Nevada County has to offer, right? I think it's our main industry. Or it can be the main industry in this community. So how do we use that to shape this into the community we all want to be a part of, right? And you can go ahead and interrupt me.
There's a list. So the deliverables are assess the geography, historic context, and current state of the arts and culture in Nevada County. We've made a pretty good start on that, right? We're going to be able to deliver a lot of information already that won't need to be repeated. Be responsive to widespread input from Nevada County residents and stakeholders. Align with existing municipal and county plans and planning processes. Identify avenues of funding and opportunities for partnerships to stabilize the arts and culture sector and maximize resources. Align municipal investments in arts and culture with city and county goals and priorities in areas such as affordable housing, public safety, economic development, climate mitigation, emergency preparedness and disaster response, recreation and mobility. These are all things that we've identified from across our municipal partners' planning that are important to our partners, as well as the county, and that's largely due to public input. Identify career pathways and workforce development opportunities in the arts and culture sector. Identify strategies to advance and integrate cultural equity for all Nevada County residents. When I say cultural equity, the first thing we'll need to do is define what that means for us. I think that's going to be very important, rather than borrow anyone else's definition. Recognize the importance of arts advocacy and inspire cultural leaders, creatives, volunteers, and audiences to flex their individual and collective power to protect and advance the arts. And include a regional marketing plan that promotes sustainable cultural tourism, acknowledges the value of local participation, and aligns with existing local and regional marketing plans. So those are the deliverables we've asked for. We've studied so many cultural plans. We've got a list of cultural planning gurus across California that we've invited to. This is up on our website under the Be Involved tab of our navigation. So if you were to go there later or tomorrow and see this, and you know of a consultant that you'd like to give this a go, it's a competitive thing, and it's literally just gone out. There's only a month for people to apply, so it's exciting.
As one or two of only 14 cultural districts in a pilot program, we have the opportunity to show how important this program is to all of California, and we need to show up and do it really well. And that's our goal, is to be the best. That's all.
Great job, Heather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much for
Kudos.
We'll let Eliza return to her seat. And well, we had a mock exercise on an application, and our next item on the agenda will be actually a real project. And I'd like to ask the city manager and city planner to present this proposed project from SAIL, Sierra Academy of Expeditionary Learning.
Yes, that's a hard word to say. Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an interesting project, and it's neat to me in that it hits all of the things that we talked about earlier that the art policy says, engaging youth and education in the arts and local artisans and things like that. This is a proposed temporary art installation. The staff report says this area is in the historic district. It's not. That was my error in writing that, but it is a proposed temporary art installation location. It's right up the street here at the top of Broad. It's right before you get to the Y, right below the Broad Street Inn. It's the little sliver of land against Bennett Street, and there was once a very old Atlas cedar that lived there. Its stump still resides there, but the tree no longer lives there. We've been working with SAIL on a number of initiatives, and I know some of you have in your other capacities as well. But one of the things that they'll be doing is adopting that little sliver of land to maintain it in a safer from wildfire capacity as part of one of their classes. And we had contemplated that as a site of a temporary art piece to in honor of the Atlas cedar that was once there. And so they were when they said, hey, we want to adopt this parcel for maintenance, they were also interested in the art project. So it just became a good synergy. It'll end up being two different classes that do the activity. And so the way they generally work is they would work this up as part of their class now and come up with ideas and brainstorm and think about how they want to do it and work that out within their class and ultimately come back to this body with a proposal for what the art piece would be. And then you would recommend its approval, hopefully, and the council would say yes. And I hope the council would put some money into it too for, we're not going to be paying them as artists because they're students, but we would hopefully be paying for the materials necessary to create this so that there's not any incurred expense in doing it. And then they would come back after summer break, and then they would create that art piece and install it, so it's kind of a elongated process. So what I was hoping to get from you is I'll give you an outline of what we're thinking there and get your ideas, because maybe what we're thinking is wrong, maybe it's stupid, I don't know. You just, give us whatever you want, knowing that what we're looking for is your recommendation to encapsulate this process into something that might be workable, and then they would come back to you with their proposal later on. So the theme of the art project is a tribute to that Atlas cedar tree. An expression that might meet that I've seen in other places is essentially they take wood, usually salvaged wood that is old and not being used in any other function, and glue it, bind it together, and then cut it to the shape of the stump that is there. They build a platform to put it on so that it's angled upwards so that it can be viewed from the sidewalk. And then they detail or paint or inscribe or otherwise provide art to that piece so that it symbolizes the tree that was there, and the art is informed by that theme. They certainly don't have to do that. I'm sure they'll come up with a much better idea than that, but that's the kind of thing that we'd be looking for, something that is a physical art piece that could be seen from the sidewalk, that is a tribute to the cedar. I already went over the kind of the timing and the proposals, the funding. Like I said, we would anticipate it being huge dollars for the materials, and we would intend to ask the council to provide those. So we're really looking for your feedback on that as a concept, the theme as we talked about. If you have any ideas or suggestions about materials that would be good for that place, or materials that would definitely not be good for that place. And then any other thoughts you have on the project in general, knowing that it would come back to you with a formal proposal from the class of what their actual intended art would be.
Great.
Questions?
Kyle?
Can you remind me what the time frame of temporary is? What is?
90 days.
90 days, okay. And then I have another question. Would this be bolted down somehow or attached so that it couldn't be carted away? Because things tend to disappear if it's carryable.
Yeah, so we would work with them, whatever their proposal was, to make sure that with our Public Works, that it was secure in some fashion. It would depend on what it was. So if they, came up with a wood and metal item that was very heavy, we might, anchor it to the ground differently than if they came up with something that was, super light and we needed to do something else. But yeah, we'd work with them, whatever the proposal was, so that kids tip over cows because they can.
Yeah.
And so if you put anything on a sidewalk, a street, eventually somebody's gonna try to move it from that place. So that's a consideration.
Does the homeowner have there's a home, right, or there's an inn right there?
It's
Do
the
they
Broad
have
Street
any
Inn.
say in that, or is that?
They don't, but I've talked to them about it. It's a husband and wife that own the location, and we certainly would, invite them to come to the meeting, and to talk to have the sale class talk to them before they, make their proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, firstly, I just want to say I'm really excited about this project. I really loved that tree, and I was sad to see it go. And that the youth and students are involved is really wonderful. I would just suggest going with natural materials if it was possible, something sustainable, maybe even recycled, reused materials, which feel like in alignment with honoring the tree and keeping things natural. So, yeah, but really excited to see what they come up with.
Can I ask you a question? I heard recycled, sustainable, reused. Would recycled, non-sustainable materials fit in that?
Yeah, I maybe got a little too creative there, but yeah, I think going with natural would be really lovely.
I just didn't want to mishear you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
Thank you.
the question. Yeah.
Liza, anything?
I think it's lovely, and I love the idea that it's the SAIL kids as well, especially with their vision of expeditionary learning. It's a classic application of expeditionary learning, isn't it? And I'm just curious about, does the school, is it perhaps entertaining a thought that later there might be other installations that go in? I know that this is ephemeral, it'll be gone in 90 days or whatever, but it seems like something that could be repeated year on year. Is that?
My hope would be that we would sell the art piece, and recover the city's investment in it, and
Nice.
give the remainder as equity back to sale if council was so inclined to do so, and then recycle the original funds to the next project.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Love it.
And if somebody's not willing to buy that piece for $1,000, then I got 7 kids that I've convinced to, use their work money for.
Shannon, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I just am looking at the timeline and the winter, spring term and evaluation of the site and developing a plan and getting approval and then for the 90-day thing. And I understand that it's a temporary piece, 90 days feels short, it's not technically in the historic district. Just something to consider, like, is there an opportunity that it's up for a school year or 6 months? Like, if we are developing the terms for this relationship, could there be something that's more than 3 months for all the work that's put in? And my second piece is just, I feel like there's an invitation to be practicing partnership all the time, and that this is a really great opportunity for SAIL and the students to consider how else we can partner with other organizations, and not to complicate it, but like if it's a collaboration with Circle and they're learning about it, if it's with Sierra Roots and or Sierra Harvest, I think it's just something that the community is constantly asking for, fortified cross-sector partnerships, and if we could build that into this project, we could get really cool results, more buy-in, and create themes that are like mission-driven across the jurisdiction.
We will certainly take notes and include this in, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna suggest the teacher have the students watch this meeting, and consider that, feedback as to you know, what a good proposal might be. Did other people have thoughts on the timeline? Because I saw some people moving their heads. Didn't know if it was a yes or no,
I mean,
because
if
it
it's
kind of ties to your
possible,
question.
yeah. I mean, that'd be great if it could be longer term, especially with, like, a school year would be amazing. But I don't know, is there leeway with that kind of thing? And then if there is for this, is there for other things?
You can
Or
make
how
a
do you-
recommendation on anything you want.
Okay.
I would think having, working with SAIL like I do, that the way their projects work and the way that the classes go through, this might, by the time they get to their 90 days, might work with what that class is doing. They go through, like the freshmen have projects and they follow it through it depending on which class this is. Is it a junior class that by the time next year and they get it up and going, it's going to be, they're graduating because they're seniors by then, and a new class might come in with and want to do a new project, so the 90 days might fit within that. Not knowing what class and what their time schedule is, I think being flexible about that, whether it's 90 days or it works out to be 6 months, a whole year probably, I'm thinking probably wouldn't end the artwork, if you're planning on selling it afterwards, might be at a point where you want to sell it before a year and they install, maybe the next class has something different. That's just my thought.
So maybe they
Timing.
propose a timeline recommendation with their proposal to you, and then you could have a recommendation
Maybe.
to support that to the council or not?
Yeah, flexible with it. Celine,
Okay.
did you have any?
No, I agree with the idea of 90 days seems very short. And because we are outside of the historic district, that ability to be able to look at potentially keeping something longer, especially considering how much time and energy the kids will have put into this. It would be lovely for them to be able to show it to people who come visit, at a different, maybe they're not going to be there those first 3 months. But I was curious about this idea that if they could sell the piece, and then it would allow for this to potentially continue to keep going, this relationship with the city. Do you think that's something that they would be keeping in mind when they're designing the piece of art, that, there's things that, like we talked about over time, may start to disintegrate, but keeping in mind this idea that eventually this is something that the city, how important is it, I guess, that the city be able to recoup those costs, that their art is something that could be sold afterwards?
I think it's just a possible opportunity. To me, it's not a factor, but if it's important to this group, it certainly can make it a recommendation. But I've done this in other places, and had youth create art that had it was gonna disintegrate over time, and it still got purchased, or do something like this. And before it was purchased, when they removed it, they ended up putting a really thick epoxy coat over the top of it because someone wanted to buy it and put it, in their workshop kind of thing. And so then it was going to last forever.
Right.
But it may be that it doesn't sell at all, and that's okay. They should propose whatever they think is best given your input and the council's approval. So it's just an opportunity.
I think it's an exciting opportunity to, another way to partner with SAIL, and they're really becoming integrated into our community with a number of different projects, and that's really exciting for me. I think that students would love to see their artwork be sold, that opportunity. So, that I'm glad that you're presenting that to them, that maybe at a certain time it be sold, because it's always exciting to say, wow, I'm a part of this, and especially when you're a high school student. And the other thing is the way they affix it to the stump that's left. we need to be cautious if we're planning on having that as an art location in the future, that the way it's affixed does not damage this, the stump in such a way that then nothing can be put on it later. So that just needs to, I think that's my input for it.
I agree, and thank you.
And so are we looking for now, at this point, a recommendation for us to
You're welcome to.
city council, or what stage are we at this stage of the game right now?
Yeah, the next step will be the council to approve, basically allowing this process to go on under your, guidance with their proposals and things like that. So if you would like to make a specific recommendation, you're welcome to do that. I can also just take everything you said and include it as, your overall recommendations and bring that to the council.
I think that's personally the best thing to do, because it gives some room for digestion, for
Okay,
sale.
so you don't need an actual motion or anything?
I don't need it, but you're welcome
Okay.
to take one if you would like.
Council,
I want to say one
Commission?
thing quickly, because I didn't notice this in the 11 pieces of a formal public art application, and that's like some kind of blurb around intent and representation. And, we're not asking for like essays from people, but I do think it's important for artists to, practice like articulating what they are representing and the intent of the piece, and also for us to understand why and what are they aligning their work with. It's something I'd like to see in the application for all the public art, because it's like, we're gonna be putting the stuff in the newspaper, and it's like, what is it saying? And it's not just gonna be open to interpretation if we can see on paper, and it's gonna speak to who the artist is. So whatever that means for this process, but I'd like to see there be some kind of intent of what the art means for
Would that-
everything we're reviewing.
Shannon, would that be in the themes section, which is at the moment just 3 lines? So just to fill out the theme part a little bit more. I love what you say in general. I think it's great.
And so I think that would come from their proposal.
Right.
But if you think the theme needs additional work, then we could certainly do that. Effectively, the city is commissioning this art, so we can request anything we want. When you're talking about a public art process, they don't have to have a reason or what the art's about. It's, in theory, it could just be the owner just really likes this, statue of whatever, a replica of a Academy Award. They don't have any reason for it. They just like it, as opposed to when you're commissioning art, you certainly can, articulate some of those things. But it would be a fair question.
Sure.
When they present, might not be in their application, but what, do you have a reason, a rationale? And I would think a lot of them will probably say, yes, we're inspired by this and we want to do this. And like you heard from the 49 Rotary, there's a reason why they want to support that. So any thoughts on whether that theme is a little too light, just to say that, to recognize the Atlas Cedar, a tribute to the Atlas Cedar?
I've found that the students at SAIL are very creative, very creative, and we'll have that chance to see their creativity when it comes back. I would hate to limit them to anything right now. I mean, the council will say, yes, we're going to approve this, and then the Arts Commission looks at it. That's just my feeling. Any other?
No, I guess just, on question 3, if they're going to be kind of following a similar proposal format, I would ask that some consideration be made for extracting the theme piece from the scale and design and materials, because those feel like different questions, and maybe that would make that piece stand out more.
We can ask them to do that, as long as there's
Great.
no objections from the group.
Yeah, All agreed? Great input, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Okay, then we will move on since we don't need a formal motion. And our next item on the agenda is, I believe, talking about these
Yeah.
wonderful little,
So for,
our nameplates.
when was the first time you sat up here?
Me?
Yes.
I hate to say.
When was the first time Paul Matson sat up here?
Yeah. 1979.
And we probably had something similar to this, right?
It was exactly like that.
Probably was
Different
exactly
name,
this.
different name, different council
Right.
chambers, but same,
Exactly.
same nameplates.
So for much longer than 20 years, we've basically had these kind of nameplates. Nothing wrong with them. This building is 1937. It was completely remodeled from the ground up in 2000, but to look exactly like it was built in 1937, but with, you know, newer air conditioning and heaters and plumbing and electrical and the like. But we kept the nameplates. So
Yeah, we just used to we'd take the name off, give it to the person leaving the council or the planning commission and keep the wooden plaque and
it's a
slap
double
a new
sticky
one
tape,
on,
so, you know, we don't want to spend another $2 for wood.
They're 50
You know,
years old.
they're functional, right? They're readable, but this is just a very small, we didn't buy these because I just, faux wood grain, plastic, just, I don't know, something about it bugs me, but we're hoping that you would like to, you know, create your own. You don't have to, you can say we're not doing it. But there's basically no rules other than they would have to be readable in the same fashion that these are while you're on camera, or for the public. So material, dimension, size, color, anything you could think of. I'm gonna guess the council wouldn't approve made out of gold bars that you can take home after your time on the commission is done. But you know, you could make it whatever you want, you know, commissioned by local artists, your own design. It can be anything.
Thank you, Adam and Daniela, for joining
Thank you,
us
Vibrancy
tonight.
Committee.
Thank you, Vibrancy Committee.
You know, you could suggest that we do a, you know, call for,
Thank you, Heather, have a good night.
Thank you.
you know, limited call for proposals on the Arts Council's website for, you know, hey, you got some designs, you know, ideas, we want to do this, you know, come to the next committee meeting and give us your ideas. And obviously, we would, you know, pay fair wages for anybody's work.
What a
you
sweet
know.
idea, isn't it? Put out a call to artists.
And, you know, that's just the concept. You could say we hate it, or we want to do it later, not trying to lock anything in. I would hope that it would inspire the council to, you know, change theirs and the planning commissions as well. They certainly don't have to, but you may say, we want these for the arts commission, and then they come in, you say, and we'll change it a little bit for the council, you know, that's okay too. So there's not really any rules other than it's just an opportunity to have expressions of art where we traditionally don't have them. And you'll see this kind of thing come back to you in other spaces, like our new website, or when we're going to adopt long-range planning documents. I would like there to be, you know, a section for artistic, you know, instead of just, here's the block with the words and the, you know, and a picture on the front. So given opportunities for, you know, artists to add to all that we do in government. And this is just that. So happy to hear whatever you might have to say as I throw this back in front of me.
Would these be for the duration of our time here, or would you like them to be something that could be, the name could be swapped out, but the thing stays in place?
Either one.
Okay.
Well, we'd be happy, the Arts Council would be happy to do a call to artists, and then we could agendize it, as you say, for some presentations. It would just be fun, or just like show us your design or something. And we could, in the call to artists, we could put what the dimensions are, and that the artist that's awarded the little commission will be receiving this amount of money or whatever it is. happy to do that. And then we could share the unique URL to that call to artists with all the commissioners, and then you could all share it and get the word out.
Can we say we encourage the use of natural, sustainable materials and encourage people who are underrepresented and with lived experience to apply, and youth and stuff?
Nice. I like that idea.
I think that's always, in my mind, that's always encouraged, but I appreciate you saying it. It's unusual, but also encouraging that we have huge representation in the arts, right? But we have relatively little gender diversity in government. But look at this table, look at the Arts Council in general. How many of your employees are male?
Well, women,
None. So, you know, that should always be a consideration, that we're, you know, trying to engage, you know, those that generally don't have a voice in what we do. So, but thank you for saying it.
Yeah, and I think, like, it doesn't go without saying, and on any time we're doing public calls, we should, I would prefer if we're explicit, and maybe we draft some language that we are consistently using to encourage broad participation.
So Sean, are you saying this is a city-funded, in terms of the artist being paid?
Yes.
Is there a budget already determined for that?
No. But if you, like I said, if you make it gold bars, that's gonna have to go to the council for approval. I doubt they do that, but, you know. But I think, the idea and the creative inspiration is more important than the money at this point. Unless you're, you know, trying to select a theme that would probably be very expensive.
Eliza, can I ask about the reach of the artist call, people who visit the Nevada County Arts Council website and people who are tapped in? Is there any opportunity you see for like targeted reach for, I'm thinking of like the Curious Forge, I don't even really know what they do, but you know, places that do things
Cool stuff.
that do cool stuff and have a student population that like, are not just people maybe who have private wood shops, but other types of emerging.
Yeah, I mean, our creatives meetups take place in really diverse spaces. So we were at the Nail Factory, which is getting all coded up and in compliance at the moment. And we've been at the Curious Forge. So we definitely know all these folks. So I think we'd probably do like a general blast to about 4,000 people.
Oh, casual.
And then, yes, you'd invariably, I mean, it could be quite a lively commission meeting, you know, getting folks to come and give their ideas. And they'll probably want a sort of more formal one, like you can either show up and share your idea for fun, or you know, click here and submit your art or something, and then we'll have a look at it together. But yes, having put out a general thing, and we can put it in the newsletters as well, we would also then perhaps we can share it with those folks that we know will get it to people that might not be on the general mailing list or something like that, you know, definitely.
Do you guys have capacity to do that?
It's literally what we do all the time.
Okay, great.
We literally, 90% of the staff time committed to social media and communications is dedicated to promoting events, peoples, places, and you know, presenting organizations that have not, you know, that aren't Nevada County Arts Council. So I wish I could double that person's time and then focus on more of what we're doing. So yes, it's literally what we do. So.
Thank you.
If any of you haven't been to the Curious Forge, you should definitely
It's
go.
amazing, isn't it? Really amazing. And such great leadership as well.
You could always make it a field trip.
Is there a way, this wouldn't turn into a contest, like that makes me a little cringy that we're then voting on people's stuff. It's not that, right?
Well, what is it? What did you mean when you meant, because in one way, because it is a sensitive subject, because in one way you're asking people to dedicate their time to provide ideas, and so then it becomes whimsy and folly. You know, are we just the ones choosing? And I know that when we partnered with the county on the rebranding of Nevada County Transit, you know, the beautiful buses with Denise Way's design, that was a public sort of competition, and there was a rubric, a matrix, and there was a committee and everything like that. And when it is like that, of course, there are always going to be some disappointed people. It's just the nature of the beast. So what do you think? I mean, if it were not that, what could it be?
It's whatever you want it to be.
I mean,
That could be the worst idea ever. You don't want to put it up on the boards. You could say,
Right.
we want to put it up on the boards and say, give us one paragraph of what you want, and we'll select 5, and we'll pay you $50 to give us an artist rendering of one, and then we'll pick from that, and we'll pay you to make, you know, the 7 commissioners art, you know, anything from there to, except for the gold bars. Whatever you would
A
like.
little better than imagining people coming in with art that they've worked on that then we're then like, no.
Yeah.
Part of that process, I crawl under the table. Yeah, but something like what Sean just described.
Something what he just said.
Yeah, what he said.
I think I'm probably going to be odd person out here, or not odd, I mean, what I'm hearing is great. But we're the Nevada City Public Arts Commission, and I would like there to be something, maybe to see, maybe you have Nevada City artists first, you know, to ask about it before we open it up to
It's a nice idea.
countywide, since it's going to be city money paying for the nameplates. And I don't know if you have a listing of just, you know, that we could approach first.
You could have it as one of
It's,
one of the
a
requirements.
little broader than that, you know, but I'm just, I would really hate it if it ended up being an artist from Roseville that saw it and wanted to put, you know.
I don't think that would be supported. That's not local.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I mean, I would really like to be local first, because we do represent Nevada City, and then expand it out a little bit. But
That's fine too. I mean, we could put it, if hypothetically you put it out, you'd say, you know, preference will be given to, you know, Nevada City, you know, artists. But maybe you don't get Nevada City artists.
maybe there are
You know,
none that do this kind of
And
thing.
they say, I'm in Grass Valley, but I got a really good idea, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, any of those things are possible.
With the grant program that we're rolling out at the moment, the one that sees us servicing 19 different counties, we had to define the same thing, you know. So we said these monies are going to artists that live in, work in, or serve and have genuine relationships with these 19 counties. So we could say something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have enough direction from us, Sean, do you think? Or-
Would it be, what about as a next step, if you were to send me what you imagine, just bullets, what you see in a call, and then I can sort of, you know, develop it a little and send it back to you to share with everybody?
So we can't share it with everybody on the commission without sharing it with the public. But what we can do is do that, and then what we would do is we'd make it available on our website and post it for anybody that, you know, is watching this meeting or, you know,
Yeah.
watching it later. They would know that this kind of thing is gonna come back before the next meeting, that will be providing, you know, an opportunity for the commission and the public at
So it would
large
be a
to see that.
draft process. I think it's the process that I'm speaking of, yeah.
And then that could come back to the next meeting, and you have already seen it and be ready to say go or not go.
Does the council have to say, yes, they're going to approve funds for, first, and then we go through this process? Or we go through this process and then it goes to the council?
I'm anticipating it doesn't go to the council.
Okay,
You know, I don't think it's gonna be that much money. So,
okay.
Do you have a sense, would you feel confident sharing a certain amount with us now, what that amount is?
I'm guessing these are, you know, $75 to $100
The design, to pay the
Per.
person.
at the, yeah.
So the city will pay $75 times the number of the commissioners to that person?
That's what I'm guessing it lands
Okay.
at.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think that's a good point to make it clear that the fabrication is part of the process, not just your cool design of a pyramid-shaped
Yeah.
object.
So it's really, mostly a graphic thing, isn't it? It's a graphic design thing.
I don't think it has to be. I mean, it
No,
can be.
could be anything.
You can make it out of needlepoint. You could make it out of
Bibs.
out of metal. You could make it out of rolled metal. You could make it out of
Anything.
wood. It could be burnished wood. It could be engraved wood. It could be. I mean,
There's
there's
an artist in there.
infinite ways that they could, you know, approach it. So if you have thoughts on, if you want to narrow that in, you know, that's okay too.
Okay.
Or not, you know, leave it open and see what you get.
Okay. Well, how about you and I are in touch? Does that sound good? Okay.
I thought it would be really cool if, you know, when I saw this, I thought, are we designing these things? I'm not an artist. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had each one of us, you know, an outline of one of our buildings that was very recognizable, and then their name and some other stuff, you know?
We can do that too. We could provide the, you know, the city seal and the, you know, go to this gallery of pictures of the town if it inspires, you know, their process.
Certain buildings, everybody's going to look at and recognize, and others, they're not.
Yeah. Firehouse number 2 is on the city seal, and
No, firehouse number 1 is, I think, isn't it?
All right.
We'll talk about that later. Pretty sure it's number 1.
it's a firehouse.
It's
We
a
agree on
firehouse.
that.
It's a firehouse. Okay. Do you have enough direction from us, Sean?
I think so.
All right.
I
then.
appreciate that. And if you have individual ideas after the meeting or anything, you can always email me or Lisa, you know, see if we can make this. And then this is, art sometimes is final. So you hire somebody, they make something, it's over. This can be iterative. You could, you know, say, we really like this design, and then you put them all out here and you're like, maybe for the planning commission, we do something different because this, and then that's okay. You know, it's just a fun little project,
Maybe
so.
the buildings would be better for the planning commission.
Maybe,
Who knows, you
maybe.
know, For the council.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, so you have enough direction from us, and we'll move on to item number 4, all right, which are city-owned properties in consideration of their potential use for public art installation. So
And-
we've been provided with,
So this is really more just an informational item for you following up from the last meeting. We don't have to spend much time in it, but we'll make this available, you know, anytime you're considering a project or might want to say, hey, where could this go? We can expand, you know, the visual references to this over time as well, but the list of essentially is the potential usable spaces, so city council could approve temporary or permanent art installation on, and only usable for temporary art, that's because it's in the historic district. So like City Hall, Doris Foley Library, both historic firehouses and the like. And then the not usable, the reason they're not usable is because they're essentially not accessible for public use. The one that I would say might not fit that bill is the wastewater treatment plant on 650 Jordan, because the Tribute Trail runs right there. And so it might be possible to have an installation of public art at the wastewater treatment facility for the purpose of viewing from the tribute trail. So that's kind of a exception, so they wouldn't be going to the wastewater treatment facility to see it, but it might be installed there for that reason. But the rest of them are essentially not, including the Pioneer Cemetery, which is an inactive historic cemetery, meaning that there's no new burials, there's no new, things done to it. We don't add sidewalks, it will, over time, go away with history. That's how those,
It's in a state of
Go.
arrested decay.
Yes,
Really.
yes. Yeah, pretty, more on the decay than the arrested.
Right.
So,
Right.
Fire station number 5 is unusable and unusable. I don't know where it is. I'm not attached.
Providence Mine Road.
fire station number 5 is on usable and non-usable?
Yes.
Where do you see it as on, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. Maybe I was thinking that same, it could in theory be the same way. We couldn't put it there for people to go and see the art, because it's a fire station that has limited access. But in theory, you could put art, right up at the front of it for people to see as they're driving or walking down Providence Mine. It was a mistake to put it on both, but,
I like it.
but maybe that's what was in their mind.
Could I suggest maybe, or ask about 2 others that I didn't notice on here? Maybe
Yep.
they are. One would be the little parklet at Washington and Nevada Street.
So anything like that, those are all what we call slivers. So they are not parcelized, so they don't have an APN number. So I didn't include them on here because they're not an actual parcel of land. But yes, anything that is in the right of way, which is what most of the slivers are, is potentially possible.
I mean,
So
the city
that would,
owns.
there's, somewhere between 180 and 200 of those. Almost all of our intersections
And
have
most of
something
them
like
are
that.
unusable.
Yeah,
but the
like
2 that I-
Monroe and what is it? American Hill creates a sliver that's like that. Nevada Street has there that triangle piece. People call it a park, but it's just a piece of right of way. That's essentially what we're talking about at the top of the hill here on Broad Street. It's the piece of right of way that wasn't made into a road at Bennett and Broad Street. So anything like that would be possible. And we can add to this list the kind of the larger slivers.
The 2 I was thinking, obviously, because they mow and there's a little bench at Washington, and then that used to be called the Elmer Fisher Park, but I don't know that it's got a formal name. And then the little triangle at Austin and Drummond.
And American Hill.
American Hill. that-
Which also has a bench on it.
Which has a bench. and
Neither of those
beautiful-
benches are city-owned. Somebody just decided
Oh,
to
no.
install an expensive bench, which is
But a
awesome.
Nice rock, but,
Yes.
but depending on what the public art is and what we're thinking, and somebody might come in and say, I have this idea, and we think, oh, that would fit perfectly,
So that one specifically is the siting of the Drummond Carter.
right, we just put that plaque
plaque.
up, so.
So we'll expand the list to include those slivers of land that are like that.
That would be a good example of where the setting and the art we'd be looking at. The Carter plaque is there, so maybe the art piece would be something that we would want to have it, work with the Carter plaque. The Carter plaque is for an African American. Wouldn't that be where we would be looking at the setting and also what the art piece would be, because it would work with?
Certainly on city property, because
Yeah.
then the city has control over that. If it's somebody's private property,
No, I'm
they're-
talking that city one with a historic, yeah, okay.
you certainly wouldn't want them to conflict with each other,
All right.
But an art piece that was inscribed with Jenny Carter's,
Right.
poetry or something would be amazing, right?
Right. So, anything else? Anybody have any other questions on this?
If you think of
item?
other things that you would like to see on the list or other parcel land, or when you send me a message, like I said, we'll add the kind of the sliver pieces of property on here to try to be descriptive so that you know where they are, and then eventually we'll add maps so you can see what it is, and that will just be a resource for you anytime you're considering
And like you
projects.
said, most of them are totally unusable. Slivers,
Yes.
You know?
I did, the Sacramento Street parcels would, in theory, be usable for the same thing, walking by. These are all, if you go up Sacramento Street, if you go down the hill here, across the highway and turn right on Sacramento Street, on the right-hand side, the creek side, you'll see there's 3-story houses. They're only 2 stories or 1 story from the Sacramento Street side, but from the creek side, they're 3. One of them's 4 stories. And you'll see a house and then a space, and then a house and another 2 houses and then a space. Every space is owned by the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that could be, it would be
And
complicated because you'd have to, do it,
Get in there.
yeah. But
Remnants of the old ditch running through there though, and that could actually be something cool.
yeah, depending on where it is. So I mean, there's, those are, even though it says not usable, it's not usable for people to physically go
No.
to the property, but it might be usable to install art.
Yeah. Okay,
Awesome.
so do you,
So if you think of anything else you'd like on there for us to, we'll just keep this as a, resource for you to be updated. Anytime you're considering a project, we'll probably just have it as a consent, an item on consent, this list, so that it's available in the packet.
Sean, thank you so much for doing this. You
growing
were
list.
so
Thank you.
responsible. I wrote to you about it and you just immediately responded. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course.
thank you. And I guess it looks like our next item, and last item, is consideration of rescheduling the May 1st meeting.
Yep, so this one's easy for me, maybe not for you. Our budget workshop was scheduled in December to be on May 1st, and that was before you picked the first Wednesdays of each month for your meetings, and of course, May Day is the first Wednesday of May, randomly this year. So your options really are to move to another day in the same week or another week. And you could also,
Go dark and skip May, or?
you could, in theory, if you want to do that. My recommendation would be that you try and find another date, and then if it ends up that it really doesn't work out for everybody, that you could always skip it, but, and if you don't decide tonight, that's okay, we can bring it back to your April 3rd meeting.
How does
Yeah, with the second week
would
of
the
May,
8th work
works
for
me.
everybody?
The 8th is a regular council meeting.
God, we'll bump them.
We're gonna not go the 8th, the 13th, or 15th. How about the 15th? How's that looking?
It's Peace Officer Memorial Day.
Is that bad for us?
It's just-
Should we not do it? Does the 15th look like it
It
will
works
work
for
for
me.
everyone? Works for me.
Which day?
The 15th of May.
Wednesday, the 15th at 5:30, right here.
Sure.
Great. You want to vote on that? Make a motion, and
On that one, I think we probably should.
I think so too.
Do I hear a motion to move the meeting to the 15th of May?
Yes, I motion to move
Okay.
the
We
meeting.
have a motion
Second.
from Mira. A second? Shannon, was that a second?
Oh,
No,
I think
no,
Eliza
Eliza's
seconded.
Eliza, was that
Sorry,
a second?
that was a second. I'm so sorry.
No, okay. Did you get that, Donna?
Yep.
Sorry.
Commissioner Harney,
Aye.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Tudor,
Aye.
Vice Chair Negrete,
Yes.
Chair Wilcox Barnes.
Aye.
People rarely say, they usually go yes, I, because people don't want to say aye.
That's so funny.
If you watch meetings, it rarely happens.
That's the old school and me coming out at when everybody said aye. And nay.
A day, yes.
Never had an opportunity.
Celine, are we saying your last name right? Is it being said right?
I don't remember when it was said, but it's Negrete.
Okay.
But it's I know that it's challenging for some people,
Okay.
so.
Okay. I never knew.
Yeah.
What is challenging?
Rolling, like slight rolling of R's.
Yes.
Nigrete?
That sounds a little more Italian. It's really, I wouldn't know how to like describe specifically what is the difference, but it's Spanish.
Spanish. Nigrete.
Negrete, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll work on that. Are there, do any of the commissioners have any other comments to make or anything to bring up? Anything you'd like to see specifically on the next agenda, or give Sean ideas?
So normally in commissioners' reports, it's your opportunity to, all of you come from different backgrounds, to share maybe things that you do in your regular life that might be applicable here, but then also to share things you might want to see on a future agenda. We will write those things down and keep a running list. If it's important, if it's timely, if it needs to come quickly, then we'll work with the chair to get it where it needs to be, if that's the will of the 7 of you. But if it's just something, hey, someday it'd be nice to have, we'll put that on a list. And then when we have a slow meeting or, that's the right time, then we could do that. And the other thing to consider there is, especially if you'd like presentations, I appreciate Eliza and Heather presenting today. We will bring you presentations that we think are either timely or good opportunities. Lisa and I met with an interesting character today who wants to do what did he characterize as?
Visual Arts Center.
A visual arts center.
Solomon Bassoff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that kind of presentation will probably come to you at some point, but you'll probably have ideas of people that you would like to see or groups that you would like to hear from. So any of that can be in your commissioner comments, or you could say, it's late, let's go home. That's okay too. I have one thing to share, if that's all right, Madam
I have
Chair.
another after you.
And perfect, I'll yield my time to the lady to my left after, is the youth commissioner position is anticipated to be appointed next Wednesday on the council agenda. So
wonderful.
you will have all 7 of you, and
we
so
should
it'll look
come
like
and
this
support
with
that
the youth
person,
commissioner
shouldn't we?
and me out in the audience. So
That's great. Nice.
Cool.
And then also we're partnering with the town of Truckee on a Dark Skies awareness campaign. So there's this sort of nationwide initiative to protect our dark skies, and the city is working towards adopting a lighting ordinance and updating our lighting ordinance to create some regulations about the types of lights that are allowed in the city. And so sort of to kick that off as a public-facing, in a public-facing way, we want to pair with the town of Truckee and do a photography contest. And we just had a meeting with them a couple weeks ago and shared some ideas, and we aren't really in the rollout phase yet, but a couple of the ideas were to have some professional photographers do a workshop to teach the public about photographing the night sky. There's a few photographers in Truckee, Court Leave and Grant Kay, who do really beautiful work. And so we sort of talked about having a workshop up on the summit and then one here, maybe at the old Nevada City Airport.
What a lovely idea.
Yeah,
Let's
so
make
we're-
it a cultural district initiative as well, Just label everything cultural district. Then we can report on it and keep our designation there.
Yeah, so I might reach out to you for some ideas on help for submittals, because we talked about having a pro category, an amateur, and a youth, and make it a contest with some awards and gift certificates and things like that. So April is International Dark Sky Month.
Arts and culture.
So it's going to come up quick,
Yeah.
yeah.
Arts, Culture and Creativity Month.
Arts, Culture, and Creativity.
Yeah, that's the one.
So that's going to be in partnership with the two planning commissions. But,
Nice.
you know, you could co-opt it to make it art commission also. That's great. They have a public arts commission as well, but it's very different than this one.
Sweet. I have something. Do you mind? I actually have two things. Seriously, come next Wednesday, right here. Vice President of Research and Policy from Americans for the Arts. He's normally in Washington. He'll be here with us in the City Hall at 12:30. We are going to record it and live stream it, but it would be great to have you in the room because you can actually ask him questions. It's the economic impact of the arts and its implications and the social impact as well. The other thing I wanted to share is the panel Sean will be on a week from Saturday at 11 a.m. at Sierra College. It's called The Future of Public Art in Nevada County, and it's facilitated by Mark Salinas with Alison Lemon, Jen Calloway from Truckee, Sean Grayson, and Haven Caravelli is a council member and so active in public art in Grass Valley. And this is the description of it. In cultural districts, partners from public, private, non-profit, and community sectors shape the physical and social character of neighborhoods, towns, tribes, cities, and regions around arts and cultural activities. This defines placemaking and it animates public and private spaces. Join us in conversation, I'm just skipping to it, join us in conversation with our local leaders about the role and future of public art in our community. Learn how your voice counts in all things civic life so that placemaking and public art can be informed and enriched through local participation. But I just want to, if I may, just speak to who Mark Salinas is as facilitator. He is the public art program manager for the city of Berkeley and is responsible for the development and implementation of municipal public art policies, procedures, and programming. He's an activist for centering social responsibility and cultural competency at the intersection of art and government, believing transparent and inclusive practices support a healthy democracy. It goes on. It's all on our website, nevadacounty.arts.org, and it's in the business of art, which is the thing. You're all invited as our guests. Just click the social responsibility button. That is so hilarious. Like, where did that come from? It's like, it's click the scholarship button, where no one is turned away for lack of funds, so we'd love to have you there. It's 11 a.m. 1 week from Saturday in the multipurpose room at Sierra College. That's the big auditorium, but you're welcome. We'll learn stuff, right? Because Sean's going to be there.
Can you say the time and date again?
11 o'clock, or 11, did I say 11:30? 11 o'clock. And it's going to be on the main stage at Sierra College on the 16th.
Okay.
Saturday the 16th.
And we need to at least let you know
Let us
that
know
we're
just
planning
by,
on
I'll tell you
it.
what, how about is it appropriate for me to send you the link and for you to send it to commissioners? Is that appropriate?
That's fine, yeah.
Great, okay, super, and we'll
Yeah.
do that.
Things like that are not a problem
Yeah.
because it's not coming before you as action.
Sure,
So,
yeah, it's an FYI. So two things, the 16th,
And how about next Wednesday, is that,
and that's,
is that, we need to let you know?
that
or
is
we
by
just show up?
invitation only, but we're thinking of making it 100% public. So especially since we now have Nevada County Media live streaming it, so why wouldn't we? So it's on the, just remember, it's going to be on next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday at 12:30. And we're going to do a toast for the arts as well. But it will be sweet, because if I see you in the room, there'll be a panel, and if I see you in the room, I can just point out our commissioners, and it's sweet. It's very last minute. We were just thrown this day by Americans for the Arts late last week.
Anybody else?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to invite all of you and the community out to another wonderful art event happening the same day as the Business of Art at Sierra
Yes.
College. So that's March 16th. Saturday, come join CHIRP and the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan Tribe in the evening at Ubaseyu Nisenan Arts and Culture for our next art opening, which is the story of land, water, and people. And this is a free public event from 6 to 9:30 p.m. There's going to be wine, refreshments, artist talks, And this is the culmination of about 8 months of work the tribe has been doing internally and with local artists. It was funded in part by the Upstate California Creative Corps grant, which was administered by our wonderful Nevada County Arts Council. So yes, we'd love for the community to come out and participate in some meaningful conversation and education through the arts. And you can find out more about that at ubaseyu.org.
And that's the same
The
Saturday.
The same Saturday, but there shouldn't be a
16th, but in the evening.
6 to 9:30.
So you have your day planned out for you.
And then,
We're going to announce it on the day.
just one more thing I would like to bring attention to is the Nevada City Rancho y Nisenan Tribe's continued
Yes.
Homeland Return fundraiser campaign to purchase the Woolman property. And it really needs community support and amplification and people to share it and donate. And I think it's a really wonderful and powerful moment for all of us living on Nisenan territory to support the tribe in regaining a piece of their ancestral homelands. So yeah, if you'd like to learn more about that, visit chirpca.org. Yeah, thank you.
So looking forward to it.
Yeah, hope to see you.
Can you repeat that date and time again too?
That's Saturday, March 16th,
Okay, the same,
from
okay.
6 to 9.
Okay. I was going to thank everyone in the audience for attending. But I think that's probably unnecessary now. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Yes, I motion to
Okay,
adjourn.
second?
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn, and I think we can just all say in favor, aye. And
Aye.
aye.
Great.
Nobody argues over that one.
We're adjourned.
Thank you for the brownies and